Yeah, good Tuesday, everybody. Joe DiGregorio checking in with you. Haven't done one of these little video updates in a little while now. So, we're going to talk about tomorrow. Uh, we'll see what the front has in store for us. And uh, right now, most everybody's in the mid to upper 60s. There's a few spots in the lower 60s with the lighter shades of yellow there. Uh, then about 60, 64 here in Jennings, 65 Lake Charles, around 63 up there in DeRidder. Same with Leesville, Bunkie, around 63, Baton Rouge, 63, New Orleans, uh, around 65, Slidell, 65, uh, Picayune, around 61 or 62, Bogalusa, right around the same. So most everybody's, uh, again, everybody's in the 60s, depending on where you are. It'd be the low to mid 60s, some upper 60s there uh, around the area. So down there by Pierrepont, you're getting way up there in the upper 60s. Same with St. Martinville, New Iberia, Lafayette, 65, Opelousas, 65. So down in Cameron, uh, 68, and you got some areas down here approaching 70. I did see a 70 there, so just to the east of Cameron. So again, uh, up there at Kentwood, around 62, 63 degrees. Uh, Centerville, Gloucester, around 63. Brookhaven, uh, closing in on 60. So, and again over here across the border into southeast Texas, there upper 60s. So again, uh, temperature-wise, everybody's pretty much in line. Then you get some cooler temperatures up here as you go north through Natchez and points forward there. Um, you got some mid 50s there, a little swath there, but you'll have to excuse me there. My sinuses are running pretty good. So, anyways, um, we're going to take this away here and let's take a look at tomorrow. So, first off, you see a marginal risk for isolated severe storms here in extreme southeast Texas and over here in extreme southwest Louisiana. And what you don't see painted in, uh, but I'll highlight it here. You see this lime green line that goes up and around. That's for some reason, and that's a issue with the data feed from the from NOAA. Uh, Hopefully, Paul can get that addressed, and we'll get that in. But uh, everything in here is just general thunderstorm activities forecast. No severe weather, uh, non-severe thunderstorms, if you will. So, which would cover all of Louisiana. So, and that period will start tomorrow morning and go through Thursday morning, 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. So you got a 24-hour time span, and that they'll update during the day if needed. Excuse me. So I think this may get extended a little bit eastward here. This marginal risk, a little further into southwest Louisiana, and a little bit more north in the portions of east central Texas there. So uh, we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to show you here. We're going to go to the NAM model, and we're going to take a look at what may be coming down the pipe here. We'll also take a look. I don't see. I can't get anything on future radar through next weekend or this coming weekend, but uh, we'll go over that in a minute. What I'm gonna do right now is uh, let's go take a look at what may be coming down the pipe here. So we'll go to 8 a.m. Tomorrow morning here, and you can see some general shower activity uh, firing up here over in East Texas, in Central Texas, and as we continue to move forward through the morning, that activity increases, and in coverage, still not seeing any widespread heavy rain or strong thunderstorm activity. Just some spotty stuff here, mainly in northeast Texas there. Um, and for us, we'll see how this goes, but uh, during the day, and again, this is just one model, but it's a very good short range, and uh, you can start to see some semblance of a squall line or what have you, QLCS starting to develop here along the boundary, and mainly the dry line there. So where the front will be. So we'll watch as we move forward, and we'll do this hour by hour here. We're getting into 2 p.m. Tomorrow now, and we'll get to 3 p.m. and you start to see, these thunderstorms are really getting fired up now along the front, and getting ready to move into the Houston metro area, Katy, and those areas there, and on up. Still nothing much here for Southwest Louisiana, and then you start to see, you get a really defined dry line there along the front. So, but what you don't see is a whole lot of activity that's developed out ahead of it. That's a good thing. So, uh, we have limited instability and moisture return to work with. There is some, but it's not going to be enough to really do very much. And as this works eastward, you'll start to see this weaken, and therefore, we're not anticipating any severe weather from this at this point. And you may see a few robust thunderstorms. Uh, Basically, you know, its bark is going to be worse than its bite. So, a few rumbles, thunder here and there, possibly some heavy rainfall as the heavier stuff moves in through your area, but overall, non-severe. So we'll punch this forward again through 5 p.m. tomorrow, and this is probably about the time we start to see any kind of severe threat ramping up in that marginal risk area, and um, we'll go into 6 p.m. So as that line works across the coastal waters of southeast Texas and through League City uh, on the east side of Houston, uh, getting ready to approach into the Beaumont, Port Arthur area there, Orange, Winnie, and those areas, and on up through Jasper and through Manny, Shreveport. You're in the thick of it, Mansfield. So Leesville, DeRitter, uh, those areas you can expect, start getting in on some of the strongest stuff probably around this time, and we'll see what the next update of the models say later this evening. And timing may be off by several hours either way. So you know, this isn't going to be 100% exact, but it gives you a general time frame and a general idea of what we could see. But for the most part, the strongest stuff is going to be down here in extreme southeastern Texas and possibly over here in extreme southeastern Louisiana. So let's move forward now to 7 p.m. in the evening, and you start to see uh, some isolated stuff build up through southwest Louisiana here and off the coast. And off the coast here, uh, these discrete cells here, I wouldn't rule out a water spout with some of that stuff. I really wouldn't. We'll just have to see, what kind of vorticities in the atmosphere at that point. But now we move through at 8 o'clock, and it's crossed the border, uh, all of southwest Louisiana and up uh, through the border parishes, all the way up through Mansfield. You can see it right there. Um, you know, pretty much everybody's in the mix at this point in the western part of the state. So uh, we'll move this in here. Then we start to get into 9 p.m. and late evening hours, and you still see a few strong areas of precipitation, possibly embedded thunder, uh, with some of the heaviest stuff remaining offshore, and not really seeing too much intense activity at this point, and it's not expected. We get into 10 p.m. You start to see some of this move out ahead of the main line that's still situated over southwest Louisiana. So uh, we'll move forward to 11, and uh, again, Baton Rouge, 10 to 11 probably. It looks like we have a split, and with this one little line here, and this could be indicative of a gust front. Um, I've seen this happen a number of times, so you could potentially get some 40, 45 mile per hour winds with that if that's actually what happens with this, as we see this line start to race out ahead of the stronger line here. So basically, we're getting split. And I think this is where you're going to see probably some strong winds, around 40, 35, 40, 45 miles per hour. Uh, if this actually does develop into a gust front. So, and then you have the secondary back here uh, with some heavier radar returns here. Nothing looking severe. Um, Again, these are just general thunderstorms forecast, but again, you never say never. So, uh, I have to be watched closely, and it's not moving very fast. I'll give it that. Um, the models aren't showing this moving a whole heck of a lot, uh, but as you see, this to me in this area here, this right here, to me that when you see that racing out ahead of the main line of thunderstorms, that's indicative of a gust front, and I think if this actually verifies and does occur, uh, you can potentially see some 40, 45 mile per hour winds, and maybe 50. Who knows? But that's definitely indicative of some strong winds uh, racing out ahead of the main frontal boundary here. So, and thunderstorm activity. So, as that ejects uh, away from the main line of thunderstorms, uh, again, that to me appears to be a gust front. So, uh, we'll see what happens if it develops. You'll be the first to know because I'll be watching the heck out of this on radar and looking at wind velocities and all that good stuff. So now we'll move into the 1 a.m. Thursday morning, and you can see this thing is still taking its sweet time. Southwest Louisiana is basically in the clear as you know slow poking its way through Acadiana, and then we move into 2 a.m. and then we started to see it break apart, and basically in the clusters. The front still very well defined at that point. You see it right here. So, and basically a neutral tilt, uh, maybe a slight negative up there, but nothing to really set off any alarm bells. So again, some of these could be loud and boisterous. Just be aware. But overall, nothing to worry about. So we'll move to 3 a.m. and let it load up there. And yeah, some activity down here along the coastal areas that uh, could be strong. Uh, further inland, you have these little areas, these little clusters, uh, potentially, some very heavy rainfall, possibly a few rumbles of thunder. But that's probably going to be about it. And 4 a.m. Thursday morning, uh, you have this area here that's moving in, and that's associated with a low that's going to track across the Gulf there. So as that does so, uh, those of you in New Orleans typically have issues with heavy rain. You might want to pay attention on your way in. For those of you that are still able to work, not locked down there due to COVID, that need to travel, you may have issues with the roads that morning from the heavy rains. So, just be aware. We're going to look at potential rainfall estimates uh, here in a second. But we'll move forward now, and we'll go to 5 a.m. Thursday morning, and you still see very heavy rainfall, possibly some thunderstorms over the New Orleans metro and south down just through the Galliano area and then northeastward, and then stretching into southern Mississippi there. So, uh, if this verifies and you do get that persistent heavy rain, be prepared for nuisance flooding issues on the roads down there in New Orleans. You locals know how that goes. And so by 6 a.m., it's starting to clear out of the CBD area and New Orleans metro and moving off to the east. And the remaining parishes on the north shore would be Washington and St. Tammany here. Uh, and basically, still some light to moderate rains. Other than that, uh, you know, this one little section here. Um, Other than that area there, that's going to be it for Louisiana. Now we get into daybreak around 7 a.m. and you can see, the worst of it's cleared the state, and um, that's going to be it. It's done, over with. So it's going to take all night to get across the state. That's a slow mover, and we saw potential gust front developing out ahead of the main line of storms. So be prepared. Uh, you may very well, uh, we may very well see some, strong winds with this, and that would be out ahead of the main line. So now we're going to take a look at. We'll see what QPF forecast says. Come here, you. There we go. So generally here, QPF isn't hitting on a whole lot of rain. Uh, Quarter to a half inch across the state, possibly locally higher amounts. Maybe an inch and a quarter. If any areas that train with the storms. So uh, again, not a heavy rain event. So rainfall is not going to be an issue for most people. And then let's talk next Sunday and the Monday. So uh, you saw my post showing the Euro high-res model with snowfall accumulation, and that was the second run of it. As of today, the latest run, I think it was 12 Zulu, uh, showed little to no accumulation, just possibly some flurries across South Louisiana, and that's it. And the GFS shows nada. So, you know, if we get into the flip flop mode, and they continue to hint on it, um, you know, it can't be ignored. And I'm not going to say never, you know, and as I said before, it may not even happen. So, you know, I wouldn't get too worked up over it, but it is something that should be watched closely. Um, Winter weather down here, frozen precipitation is extreme weather, as we don't get it every year. So, and it causes havoc, especially people down here do not know how to drive in that, and uh, we're not equipped for it. We don't have snow tires on our vehicles, so and it could potentially lead to icing on the roads, icing or black ice. So that's its own inherent danger that we really need to keep an eye on, and it's probably going to usher in some of the coldest air of the season at that point. And uh, I can't show you the euro on here as we don't have it, but let's I'll go back and take a look at the euro here, and let's go forward here. Let's see. Hold on just a second here. Sunday would be the 10th. So let's fast forward this to uh, let's see here. Sunday 6 a.m. on the 10th. So as you can see, Sunday morning, you see that dark red. Uh, a lot of people are in the mid 30s, and the freeze line drops way down, basically just north of the I-12, I-10 corridor, and more or less just above the Highway 190 corridor. So um, basically, there's 30s everywhere, but the front is here, and this is the GFS. So GFS tends to trend a bit warmer than the normal. So this could be an issue. Um, you know, like I said, I'm not going to say never, uh, but we'll see. So we get into Sunday at noon, and most everybody's in the 40s at that point. They got some 50s down here in southeast Louisiana, mostly the coastal parishes there. Uh, then we get into 3 p.m. and uh, you start to see this surge of colder air work in through southwest Louisiana and Acadiana. And then let's take a look at 6 p.m. Sunday. And 30s across the board pretty much, with the exception of extreme southeast Louisiana and along the coast. So, that cold air is here at the surface, and that's certainly cold enough depending on where the freeze level is in relation to the surface, how far above the surface it is. Uh, if it's close enough to the surface, it's certain, the conditions are right up there. Uh, I certainly could see some sleet. I've seen sleet happen with temperatures in the low 40s here at the surface. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Uh, we'll see going into 9 p.m. And now we start to see, uh, things are generally about the same. Everybody's in the 30s except for areas near the lakes and the coastal areas, some 40s out there. But as we get into midnight in the Monday morning, now now is when things start to get really interesting. And the thing with the GFS on here on this particular software, it doesn't show you future reflectivity. So unfortunately, and Paul won't put it in there for some stupid reason, but I think I can understand, why he doesn't want to put it in there on these long range models because they're simply not accurate. Uh, that far out. Sometimes they hit, but it's like playing Russian roulette. You know, uh, 5 times out of 6, you're not going to hit nothing. So, uh, we're still a long ways out with this. And then as we get into 3 a.m. Monday morning of next week, uh, things are still in most everybody's in the 30s, except for coastal areas along in southeast Louisiana and along the coastal parishes across the rest of the state there. But heck, even Cameron is in the 30s there, albeit upper 30s. So the freeze line looks like it's going to be just north of DeRidder, between DeRidder and Leesville there, um, and stretching across through Marksville. And let's see, it would go up. So we still got, and I'm not going to paint in the freeze line here. It's just too much of an issue. Then we get into 6 a.m. close to daybreak Monday morning, and you know most everybody's falling to freezing at that point uh, across most of the state in southwest Louisiana, down to just north of the I-10 corridor, basically probably from Elton. Uh, and points northward to Quincy, northward, uh, potentially, and then you got it kind of curves up here through Ville Platte, uh, so that there's a narrow corridor of freezing temperatures here. Uh, it still hasn't gotten that far. So, again, for snow to happen and any accumulations, it's got to be 32 or lower. And right now, at least with the GFS, it's not showing it. Versus, you know, I saw yesterday. We had a swath um, over, well, over here in Mississippi, and Cody and I were talking about that, and now boom, nothing. So, we get these flip flop things here, and I'm not going to say, never. I don't want you to be complacent about it, but it's possible, and this could usher in some of the coldest air of the year from that point forward towards the end of the month. Some really hard cold snaps. It's not going to be a lasting thing, several days of it, but you know, there could be several bouts with it, and that this is that time of the year. So again, before that gets here, I highly suggest that if you don't have your pipes secured, wrapped by now, uh, get it done while we still got some warmer weather out here. That really, needs to be done. Um, stand by just 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So, looks like I caught this damn cold that everybody else is catching. My mom's got it. My buddy, resident storm chaser John, over works at Lake Charles Regional Airport. Some other people. Uh, it's going around, folks. So, thankfully, I've got some medicine, cold medicine. So, I guess it's time start taking it. And anyways, uh, you know, as far as any snow, an ice storm, or any kind of frozen precipitation, right now it's it's a toss up. I wouldn't even go that far. I'd say the odds are low. You know, less than 10 or even 5%, maybe even less than that. But it'll be fun to watch and see what the models say going forward. And if it actually does start to verify, then those of you like me who enjoy the snow and are snow Cajuns at heart, then be prepared for a snowball war. So you probably can be prepared to get sick after that too, uh, if you're not sick already. So again, take it with a grain of salt for the time being. It's fun, to get a little bit excited. I wouldn't get too worked up about it right now, but we'll see what happens moving forward. I really wouldn't expect a whole lot out of it. You know, Models tend to flip flop and show things that really don't happen, and such as the GFS is notorious for that during hurricane season. You'll see these hype pages out there post a graphic, a long range graphic from the GFS, like uh, 250 hours out, 3 weeks out or something, and it's like, oh my God, the Gulf Coast is going to get a Category 10 hurricane. No such thing as a Category 10, but I'm just using that as an example, and it doesn't happen. The storm doesn't even develop. We call those ghost storms, and GFS is notorious for that. So, of course, there's some idiots out there, human idiots, that are notorious for being idiots. So you see, I never post that kind of crap. So, and again, I won't even say an awareness until I start to see some, agreement in the models and consistency. And actually, I was seeing some run-to-run consistency yesterday, but again, and that's the two major models. So, hence why I posted about it. And I think somebody posted on the page that Zach Fradella actually posted about it. So I'm not the only one. So don't kill the messenger. But again, it's fun to watch as we go forward, and uh, we'll see what happens. But at this point, I wouldn't get your hopes up too high. Uh, in all probability, it's just going to be cold and wet and raw, flu weather for sure. So you know, do what you can to protect yourself health wise, and more than likely, if you get the flu, they're going to say it's that other thing that's out there, and then you're going to be stuck quarantined. So, uh, you know how this works by now with the state and the money, and that's all I'm going to say on the subject. So, again, just protect yourself health wise. Use good judgment. Uh, if we do get any winter precip and it's measurable, uh, this is the time of the year that the flu is prevalent. Of course, have we even seen any reports of the flu this year? I haven't. I haven't even seen any numbers on it. Is the flu eradicated? So, you know, there we go. So, one thing I will say is, we have basically lockdowns in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Not so much lockdowns, but uh, things are very restricted. Um, After the 20th, if the so-called president-elect gets in office, probably going to see some lockdowns. Uh, it is what it is. So um, stock up, food, water, supplies, ammo if you hunt, that sort of thing. I'm done with mine. I'm ready to go. Uh, I actually found a site on Amazon. I got 236 packs of Scott Extra Soft on the way. So I will not be denied this time. So that goes in conjunction with what I got already. Yes, the toilet paper battle has begun. So instead of fighting some idiots at the store when there's actually toilet paper there, and those of you who've been to stores like me, shelves are bare, people. The things you usually buy, they're out of stock. And as fast as it gets delivered, poof, it's gone. This is crazy. You hear? This is nuts. So, you know, if you get it while you can. You know, don't be caught because come towards the end of the month, who knows what the hell's going to happen. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Next segment's coming up tomorrow. We'll talk to you again. Thanks for tuning in. Uh, we'll see you. Thanks for watching.